Little Nightmares 3 opens a new chapter in this haunting universe, a world built on fear, trauma, and the desperate hope of escape. This time we leave behind the Maw and the Pale City, stepping into an entirely new nightmare known as the Spiral. The Spiral is not a single place, but a fragmented world of connected realms, each one a reflection of a child's fear, memory, or regret. It's a place where reality bends, where time and space are fractured, and where no child, ever, truly leaves the darkness behind. Now, I personally believe this story is taking place around the same time as Little Nightmares 1, through images and secrets found throughout the Spiral. For example, an image on the wall shows the post-credit scenes from Little Nightmares 1, and the lady statues can be found throughout this game. The story follows two new characters, Lo and Alone. Two children, each trapped within the Spiral for reasons they can barely remember. Lo is quiet, determined, and driven by a single goal, finding a way back home. He's continually haunted by dreams of a familiar room, and the sounds of a monster who holds him hostage, and a feeling that something important was lost long ago. Alone, on the other hand, is curious and bold. She wants to understand the Spiral, to uncover its secrets, not just to escape it. Where Lo sees danger, Alone sees questions, and that difference between them will slowly become their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. The two travel through twisted, nightmarish lands, each one more distorted than the last. The first is Carnival, a carnival gone horribly wrong. Once a place of laughter, it's now filled with puppet-like creatures called the Kin, and their monstrous masters, the Herd. Giant, fat creatures very similar to the guests aboard the Maw, who gain entertainment by stuffing their faces and brutally attacking each other. Everything here feels staged, artificial, and controlled, as if the children themselves have been turned into performers for an unseen audience. Several statues of the lady from Little Nightmares 1 can be found here, implying that she may have much further control than only on the Maw. By the time Lo and Alone escape in a hot air balloon, the carnival burns behind them, consumed by its own madness, where they then proceed to crash in front of a building known as the Institute. The Institute is a cold, sterile ruin, filled with masked figures and rooms that twist into impossible shapes. It's here that the line between nightmare and memory begins to blur. Lo realizes he recognizes pieces of this place. A bed, a mirror, a familiar hallway, but he can't remember why. The Institute feels like it was built to study, dissect, and fix children, turning them into hollow shells of who they once were. The deeper they go, the more the world around them bends. They encounter a monstrous creature known only as the Head, a massive being that hunts them through the collapsing corridors. Throughout this section, Lo finds a doll, who looks exactly like Alone. Carrying this doll allows him to see, almost through a third eye, how things looked before all the destruction. Holding the doll allows him to remember. Lo and Alone run away from the Head, and they find a mirror, where Lo hurriedly tries to pull Alone in with him, before she refuses. They argue about it, but Alone refuses to step into the mirror. Lo and Alone are forced to make choices that reveal their fears and attachments, choices that may decide who escapes and who doesn't. Then, tragedy strikes, and Lo and Alone fight the Head monster before finally killing him and falling into a hole, holding each other tight. Lo finds another mirror. Rushing towards it, he forces Alone in before an unseen force kicks her out. Lo, in horror, is forced to watch as Alone disappears and evaporates in front of him as he teleports to a whole different reality. He finds himself alone once more, standing in the ruins of what might have been his own mind. In a haunting post-credit scene, we see him trying to repair a shattered mirror, the same one that haunted his dreams. Each piece reflects a different version of him, distorted and broken. It's not clear whether he's repairing the mirror to escape or to trap himself inside of it once more. But I believe he's trying to reach his friend again. He's trying to go back for alone. Both their names fit the story well. Alone meaning by oneself. Lo truly was alone this entire game. Alone was just a figment of his imagination, and Lo's name perhaps meaning depressed or scared. Low in life or low emotionally, to a point where he needed to pretend he had someone who actually cared. In the end, however, he really had done everything alone. Little Nightmares 3 continues the series' obsession with cycles, children running from monsters only to become them, trying to escape fear only to fall deeper into it. Lo's fixation on the mirrors. See what I did there? Mono's relationship with the television, and Six's hunger, a weakness that could one day consume him. In the spiral, every fear is alive, and every reflection hides a truth you don't want to face. The themes are as haunting as ever. Mirrors symbolize memory and identity, showing Lo what he used to be or what he might become. The dual protagonists represent the two sides of survival, the desperate urge to escape versus the dangerous need to understand. Carnival shows how innocence is turned into performance, while the Institute exposes the way society fixes children by stripping away their individuality. And just like before, there's no true happy ending. Only another loop in the nightmare. So, who is alone? Was she ever real? Well, the simple answer is no. Alone was just a doll, either crafted by Lo or given to him. Some believe that Lo was never truly traveling through a nightmare at all. He was only a dreamer. Alone was a creation of his imagination, brought to life through the strange magic of the nowhere. Lo's loneliness, his fear, his desperation to not be alone, all of it manifested in her. And the final mirror wasn't another portal into the nightmare. It was a way out, a doorway back into the real world. That's why Alone couldn't follow, because she didn't exist beyond Lo's mind. Perhaps that's the true reason she refused to go through the mirror in the first place. Throughout the entire game, every time you travel through a mirror, she gets weaker and weaker. You can see her bending over and coughing loudly. In one mirror, she even passes out and almost appears to die. Alone knew she wouldn't make it, but Lo, desperate, pressured her, costing her her life. Or perhaps forcing himself to wake up. Another theory is that Alone was Lo's coping mechanism, the friend he imagined to survive his fears. Each nightmare represented Lo, facing a part of himself. The monsters, the ruins, the endless walls, they were all pieces of his trauma. And when Alone vanished at the end, it wasn't tragedy, it was closure. Lo had grown stronger. He no longer needed to hide behind his imaginary protector. Alone, disappearing, was him finally letting go. And then there's the theory that ties it all together. The idea that the Institute Lo wakes up in is the real one, the same facility from the Sounds of Nightmare podcast, the county's psychological institute. Meaning, Lo didn't just survive the nightmare, he escaped it. He remembered who he was, regained his identity, and by doing so, broke free from nowhere. Because, in this universe, memories are power, and the nowhere feeds on them, twisting children into monsters and dolls. Lo may have escaped the nowhere, but not every child will. Because, in the world of little nightmares, freedom always comes with a cost. So, here's the ultimate Little Nightmares theory. Children are all taken for the cruel amusement of the adults. Their fear feeds the nowhere. Their suffering shapes its monsters. Most of them die. Others twist and transform, becoming part of the nightmare itself. But a select few, Mono, Six, Alone, and Lo, they adapt. They gain strange abilities, fragments of the realm's power, and use them to fight back, to try and escape. Yet even they are trapped in an endless cycle of becoming what they feared most. Mono becomes the thin man, 6 becomes the lady, and alone fades away, lost to imagination. Only one child ever truly breaks free. Lo. Through the mirrors and his own memory, he faces his fears and remembers who he is. In a world where nightmares feed on forgotten souls, Lo is the only one who ever wakes up. Very Little Nightmares shows the cycle beginning, with a nameless girl falling victim to the same hunger and corruption that once consumed the lady. Little Nightmares 2 reveals how Mono's obsession and control turns him into the Thin Man, trapped forever in his own nightmare, while 6's fear slowly erodes her humanity. Little Nightmares 1 brings that tragedy full circle, showing 6 embracing the very darkness that she once ran from, feeding on others to survive. And now Little Nightmares 3 pulls back the curtain, revealing that all these nightmares are connected through the nowhere, a dreamscape born from broken minds. Each child trapped inside isn't just a victim of a monster. They're fragments of trauma, pieces of a real child who were studied, forgotten, or abandoned in the real world. The spiral, the maw, the pale city, they're all reflections of the same place, the human psyche, twisted by fear. The lady, the thin man, even the monsters of the Institute aren't separate beings at all. They're what happens when fear consumes memory, when a child forgets who they were, because, in this universe, remembering is the only way to escape. When Lo looks into the mirror, when Mono stares into the television, when 6 feeds to survive, they're all doing the same thing, trying to hold on to a sense of self in a world built to erase it. Little Nightmares series isn't about monsters chasing children, it's about children becoming their monsters, trapped in a cycle of fear, loss, and survival. And maybe that's the true horror of the nowhere. Not that it's unreal, but that it's part of us we can never truly wake from. This seems to be the happiest ending Little Nightmares will ever give us. Little Nightmares is about the way fear, hunger, and betrayal change us. Every child who enters this world carries a piece of innocence, and every one of them loses it. That's the true horror of Little Nightmares. The monsters were children, once too. They're reflections of us, our gluttony, our cruelty, and our need to escape. Little Nightmares only asks one thing. When you stare into the dark, what part of yourself do you see staring back?